Live right here on this Tuesday on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie, I am Ben. So let's take a look around Major League Baseball. Divisional races at this moment in the 6 divisions in MLB. Some very compelling races and some others that might already be done even before we get to the All-Star break. That's just 6 days away, even 5 days away now with our final games on Sunday. So, Donnie, as we look at the American League East, after a big weekend for Baltimore, and the Yankees continue to struggle, just 5-15 in the Pinstripes' last 20, the O's have now opened up a 3-game advantage atop the American League East and a minus money favorite at minus 150. Baltimore, 57-33. Cleveland with the loss yesterday in Detroit, 56-33. The O's the best record in the American League, but the Guardians still remain a heavy favorite to win the American League Central, a 5-game advantage over Minnesota, minus 190. Perhaps the most compelling race is the battle for the bad division, and that's the American League West, which is not what we anticipated entering this year, with the reigning World Series champs in the Rangers, the Houston Astros, who have played in the last 7 straight ALCSs, and a Seattle Mariners team off to a very hot start this year, but the M's have certainly cooled down. Just a 2-game lead for Seattle, minus 130, an ever so slight minus money favorite.
Yeah, and by the way, let's start here with the American League East. And, I think one of the most compelling matchups is going to be the Orioles and the Yankees, Ben, throughout the summer months. Why? Because I think they're the two best teams in the American League. They're going to go toe-to-toe. Just a few short weeks ago, the Yankees had that pole position in the AL East. Now it's back over to the Baltimore Orioles with a 3-game lead over the Yankees. And also, sometimes you take a look at, the games, every single game matters the same as it does, let's just say, in the months of April, May, June, and July, as they do in those final couple weeks of September. It's just that everything gets elevated at that point. So if you can stack that lead up early in the season, it makes it much more hard to come back, even in the months of September, when some teams technically might be out of it and you pick up easy victories. The reason I bring this up is most people are already looking forward to the All-Star break. Let's just say by the time you get to Sunday, that's going to be massive. If you have the Baltimore Orioles with a 5-game lead at that break, boy, that's really going to set the tone for the second half of the Major League Baseball schedule. And also, starting today, the New York Yankees go on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. Rays aren't playing great baseball by any stretch, losers of their last 3 games, but it's still a road game in the Trop, or should I say a road series. Now you take a look at the Baltimore Orioles. They're going to be home, Ben, against the Chicago Cubs, which the thoughts on the Cubs are they're ready to have a fire sale on that baseball team. Let's just say it's simple, and the Orioles just win the series. I haven't checked to see the length of it, but I assume it's probably just a 3-game set. Let's just say the Orioles go 2-1 there, and the Yankees go 1-2. That's another game tacked on here with still a weekend series to go. So I still say, and you saw some of the clips going around here at the SportsGrid Network, I'm not giving up on the New York Yankees. I still think they're the best team overall. But boy, oh boy, look, a 5-game lead at the All-Star break, that is a tough lead to overcome. And if you're the Yankees sitting only 3 games back, you can't let that happen. But advantage to the Orioles in this next series ahead. They should win their series. The Yankees probably going to have a battle in their hand with the Rays.
Just look at the odds for game 1 of both of those sets. The Yankees, as you would expect, still a road favorite, but minus 130. Baltimore, even with Dean Kramer, who is not necessarily their ace or top of the staff, $1.50 favorite at home against the Cubbies. And Chicago is 7 games below 500. Baltimore should win that series. The Yankees might struggle. And, Donnie, it will be ever important to update where that race is at this time next week during the All-Star break in Major League Baseball, because, of course, the two sides end the first half, if you want to call it that, before the All-Star break, although we're already well past 81 games in total against each other inside Camden Yards. And just a few weeks ago, it was the O's winning a 3-game set against the Yankees. It's 3 games now. What might it be by the time we get to the All-Star break? Maybe the Yankees can make up some ground. Again, they have lost 15 of their last 20 games. And that day on June 14th, that is really one that we will mark for the Yanks over the last month. It's really where they have started to struggle. Donnie, when you look at the American League division prices, we have minus money favorites, sure, but none greater than $2. Compare that to the favorites around the National League. The Phils, still a 7.5-game lead over Atlanta, minus 550 to win that division. The Dodgers were already a big minus money favorite entering the year to win the National League West, not only because they have the best team in baseball on paper and that they've won the division 10 of the last 11 years. That's now minus 6,000. They also only have a 7.5 game lead over San Diego. And in the National League Central, the Brewers and the Cardinals, the only two teams above 500, the Brew Crew a 4.5 game lead over St. Louis. I mentioned, by the way, the Cardinals blanked the Nats yesterday on the road in the nation's capital, winning 6-0. They won the fourth and final game of the series to take 3 of 4 in Washington, D.C. The Cardinals have won 12 of their last 17 games. I don't think that division has been put to bed just yet, despite a 4.5 game difference.
No, absolutely not. And the St. Louis Cardinals may have the most talent in that division overall if you're looking at the full scope of the lineup, which, again, we always like to count that 1 through 9 lineup. I like to see it from the Cardinals here. But also keep in mind, Ben, by the time we get to the All-Star break, which is going to start Sunday night, next Friday when we get back underway in Major League Baseball, 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. Choices are going to be made on these franchises, whether going all in for a World Series to maybe get a wild card or sellers at the deadline. That's why I brought up the Chicago Cubs taking on the Baltimore Orioles. We're anticipating the Cubs probably to be sellers. But if you are looking, it's interesting to me where nobody really running away with you. Say, Donnie, hold on. 7.5 game lead for the Dodgers, 7.5 game lead for the Philadelphia Phillies. But look at the 3 division leaders here across the board in the National League. 5-5 for the Phillies in their last 10, 5-5 for the Brewers in their last 10. The Dodgers, 5-5 in their last 10 games. So nobody really extending it right now. So if you are the Braves, picking up small wins yesterday, getting those half games down, every single game you get that advantage of, because I always take a look at the reevaluation. And as you pointed out, Ben, you're right. We're already past the halfway point, but it's most organizations say, okay, All-Star break is here. We got a week to decompress. Let's take a look at the roster. Let's factor in our schedule, what contracts that we have. And also in 2 weeks, we know that deadline is coming up. Which way are we going to go? And trust me, a lot of teams are going to look at this final week right now saying, show me something for my team so we can go all in at the deadline, or at least pick up a pitcher or a bullpen arm or a bat at this point. So these are key indicators, because the Phillies just a couple days ago, Ben, 10-game lead in the NL East. If the Phillies played great baseball through and it's an 11-game lead, maybe the Braves are going like, okay, well, we can't win the division. Let's not go all in. But if the Braves, let's just say, are down to 5.5 games by the deadline, hey, you know what? Let's make some moves here and flip some prospects and maybe chase down the Philadelphia Phillies. So I like the game plan of the organizations, and it's going to be fun to see these organizations' game plan play out over the next 2 weeks with the trade deadline coming up faster than we know it.
The Braves are the top team in the National League wildcard race. They have a 3.5 game advantage over that final spot, which is the San Diego Padres. The Padres lost their final 2 games of their weekend set against the D-backs, but entered those last 2 of the weekend set, winners of 12 of their last 15, to try to have that resurgence ahead of the All-Star break. San Diego, by the way, 5 All-Stars selected to the All-Star team. The Cards, a game up over San Diego, 2.5 back of the Atlanta Braves. So the Braves have that now 4th best record in the National League. There's only 2 teams above 500 in all 3 divisions in the NL. It's the Phillies and the Braves in the National League East, the Brewers and the Cardinals in the National League Central, the Dodgers and the Padres in the National League West. A huge series, as we said, in Philadelphia starting today at the bank between the Phils and the Dodgers. That will be interesting. Philadelphia, the best record in all of Major League Baseball at this moment, and that highest winning percentage, 58 and 32.644, that win percentage for the Phils. Donnie, as we know, as we get closer and closer to October in the postseason bracket, you are going to be battling it out perhaps for those top 2 seeds to earn the opening round bye to the division series, and then we'll get into the rest versus rust debate we have the past few Octobers in the extended MLB playoff bracket.
And also keep in mind for the Philadelphia Phillies, JT Realmuto will be back by the end of the month. Due to be activated today is Kyle Schwarber. And actually, activation could be for Bryce Harper today. They're not anticipating that to happen, but getting some of that help back each and every day for the Phillies, they'll like that.